Yes, so welcome all on this 15th day of this initiative called as Saturdays for Sustainability Learning. And generally we connect at evening, but today I have a session and I'll be traveling. So that's why we are connecting in the early morning today. So this is an initiative with the goal to discuss sustainability issues in a systematic manner for the holistic understanding. So how to understand sustainability in a holistic manner. So that is what we will be working for, right? So this is a group of masterminds. So this is a mastermind group of people who are joining from different uh, areas of expertise, right? So I hope this would be a peer-to-peer mentoring group where we will learn from each other and we will take guidance, support, and mentoring from each other as well. So learning, co-learning is the objective of this session. And the if you are not aware about mastermind group, the concept was put forth by Napoleon Hill, and it's very interesting concept. But I like the synergy part of it. Like so, 1 plus 1 is not 2. The possibilities are infinite. So this is the way that ideas can be generated, right? So welcome to this mastermind group. And what are the outcomes that you can expect from this initiative is first is learning one new concept every week, because what happened in our busy day-to-day life, we cannot spend that much time on learning, right? And sustainability is such a dynamic field, so we need to be aware of the whatever happening in the latest news and latest developments. Then second is the networking with fellow professionals. So we will be connecting with the fellow professionals, understanding their point of view as well. Third is career opportunities in terms of job or in terms of entrepreneurial opportunities. That's also there. And the fourth is thought leadership. So this group ought to be a thought leader in sustainability. So that is the outcome that we can have in our mind, right? And how we are going to do is, so every Saturday generally we connect at 7 p.m. So from next Saturday also we will connect at evening because that is more suitable time for all. And it's a virtual session around 45 to 50 minutes, 60 minutes of discussion, right? And if you ask me why for this initiative, right? So there might be many initiatives on sustainability, or all the information is already available. So I'll just quickly cover in 30 seconds. So why behind this group, right? So on the screen, as you can see, there are four levels of let's say I would call it as a data or information, right? Generally, we consider it as the same, but these are the four levels: data, information, knowledge, and wisdom. So actually, generally what you see that is available, that is data is available freely. That's not a problem. Information is available freely, right? But the above two, that is the knowledge and wisdom. So that's where something we need to work, right? So in today's time, getting information, getting some database, that's not difficult. We can just Google it and we will get it. But understanding it in a proper way and the application of it. So that's something that this group is meant for, right? Yeah, so I'll quickly start with today's discussion, so which is about life cycle thinking. So in today's session, so I'll be sharing some thoughts, maybe around 15 minutes, and then we can open it for discussion, and your inputs and your real life experiences would be interesting to know. Right, so I'll just quickly stop it and I'll share my presentation with you. Just give me just a minute. So I would like to start with one question. Okay, and the question is, before starting to the life cycle thinking, the topic. Let's say this is a problem statement for us. If we are going, we are in a market. Let's say we are shopping. So how would we compare two products? If you want to compare two products while purchasing, so how would you do it as a person? So I would like to know thought of some of if you can share the thought process that you have. I hope question is clear. And by the way, the sessions are not judgmental, right? So you can share your opinions or your thought process freely, so no one is judging you. in that sort. Okay. So can anybody share how would you do it? What is your thought process whenever you go for shopping? So how do we compare the two products?
Dhananjay, first of all, we will consider value for money,
Okay.
then technological advancement.
All right.
These two things will matter much while purchasing two products or comparing two products.
Perfect. 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 Yeah. So generally, what we do, the product appeals to us or not. Maybe value in terms of aesthetic, value in terms of use value, right? Then whether that is cost effective or value for money, as we popularly say. So all these aspects are there, right? So yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. So here comes the point that I can see some message. Yeah, cost and value. Yes, Mrityunjay. Yeah, definitely. So we will consider these some of the easily calculable or easily available aspects, right? So that's absolutely correct. Now let's come to next topic. So let's say if I ask you one question, so how many of you think that plastic is bad for environment? Can you please raise your hand or unmute and speak? That would be great.
Yeah, plastic is definitely bad.
Right. What about others? If you can quickly share, you can raise your hands.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay, it's bad. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So yeah, that's true. And again, second is which is environment friendly option. If I ask you whether it is a cloth bag or plastic bag, what would be your opinion on this question? So you have an option of cloth bag versus plastic bag. Which one would you choose? Which is environment friendly?
Cloth bag.
Cloth bag. Perfect. Others? Is it the same?
Yes,
Okay,
I
perfect.
think it's the same. It's a cloth bag. I'll prefer a cloth
Yeah,
bag.
yeah. So that is a common notion, right? But if this has to be true, we need to let's compare plastic bag versus paper bag. Okay, so if you are using a paper bag, brown paper that you might see, right? So that is mostly available. So if you use this bag for the same purpose, for the same value, you need three times weight, minimum three times weight, right? And the impact of this paper bag is more for one single use. So in order to make this paper bag eco-friendly or sustainable, you have to use it at least three times. Okay, now let's compare to the cloth bag. uh, let's say it's a cotton bag, so for it it's 131 times minimum. Okay, so if you are using a cotton bag at least 131 times, then it becomes more sustainable compared to plastic. And there is one very interesting study or how plastic came into existence. Okay, so actually at that time, for billboard balls, they used to get it from ivory. Okay, and that's how the animals were killed. So to save them, plastic was introduced at the first time, so that plastic we can make that balls with plastic, and so that animals would be saved or environment would be saved. So that was the first notion. And at the initial time when plastic was introduced, it was thought as a durable product. Okay, but out of the consumption patterns or the kind of lifestyle that we have, or uh, the kind of market dynamics played, plastic became single use item, right? So we do not think of keeping plastic items for a long time, or that has not been developed during the time. So that's why if we have a question that which bag to use, so definitely it's not as simple answer that it's go with plastic or go with paper. So the more sustainable option would be whatever you already have. So let's say if you have a paper bag, use it for maximum duration. If you have a cotton bag, use it for maximum duration, maximum time. So that would be a truly sustainable options. And this is in view of the life cycle. Generally, what happens whenever we purchase any product, so we purchase it out of the considerations. So let's say I'll show it here. Right, so I hope screen is also changing. So generally what happens, so whenever we purchase any item, Yeah. So generally, whenever we purchase any item, so we are here at use phase, right? So we are maybe checking the value, we are maybe checking the cost of that particular product, but there are n number of things happening before that use phase and n number of things happening after the use phase. So that is generally missing point, right? So and that's why it's not as easy to say that this is sustainable or this is environment friendly and this is not. And that's why in order to understand sustainability, life cycle thinking comes into picture, and it's very important parts of sustainability, right? Yeah. So going ahead with the LCA of bags, that is life cycle assessment. So I'll just quickly read these two important maybe definitions. We can call it as life cycle management aims to minimize the environmental and socio-economic burdens associated with product or product portfolio throughout this entire life cycle and value chain. So here this is on the screen you can see the LCA life cycle assessment of these different 5 bags, and accordingly how much CO2 footprint that they are having, carbon equivalent, okay, and then equivalent impact to a plastic bag when used. So in this way, if we are using it for a single time, then it is having 4 times more impact maybe, okay. So in this way, in other words, we can say that a paper bag we need to use at least 3 to 4 times. So this is another study, okay. So in previous slide I have shown you one study, and this is second. So generally when we do life cycle assessment, so this kind of analysis comes into picture, and we will get more clarity of comparing the two products, right? So life cycle, yeah. So on the screen you can see life cycle thinking. So it is to reduce the product's resource use and emissions to environment, and as well as improve its socio-economic performance throughout its life cycle. We already know that sustainability, there are having multiple pillars, or popularly we called as triple bottom line as well: people, planet, and profit, or in other terms, environmental, social, and economic. These are 3 pillars of sustainability. So life cycle thinking takes care of all these things. And in terms of products, let's say initial conception design phase, the extraction of raw materials, right from that, so we get all the natural resources, right? So through extraction, and then it's design, production, packaging, use, the transportation is there, right? And then end of life, so what we are doing, so maybe that is going for landfill or incineration, or maybe we are taking back some of the materials, maybe remanufacturing, refurbishing, so that is happening. We don't know, but life cycle thinking is, we are not only focusing at only one point, we are trying to understand the entire process through which that particular product goes of, and also the constituents of that product goes through all these processes. So that's complete study is called as life cycle thinking, to take care of all these as well, right? So this slide we have already seen, right? So and just I'll just take 30 seconds for this. So in order to produce any final product, or let's say service, it requires some raw material, right? So some inputs, resources are required, and some output is produced out of that. Just a minute, just a minute. Sorry for the disturbance. Yeah. Yes. So for any process, as you can see, there are inputs, that is the resource or energy that is being consumed, and the output, that is the pollution or waste. So that happens at entire life cycle of that particular product or service. And on the screen, you can see the we have taken one example of life cycle of one IT asset, that is mobile phone. Okay, so as you can see on the screen, so right from manufacturing, how the product goes into different phases, and then after let's say it's recycled, and what are the different ways, different parts, different components go to different phases, and that's how a product moves. Okay. Yes, and on the screen, as you can see, so that is along the product chain. So it's going beyond the organizational boundaries. So earlier it used to be only in one particular premises, one particular organization boundary maybe, but now that's going maybe in the component, let's say mined at one country, manufactured it in second country, and then again sold or used in another country or another continent as well. So that's happening. We have now global supply chain, and that's how the communication, the information, the material and energy flows, right? So that is happening. Yes, and again here, what I want to show you is whenever again, if we go back to our first question, okay. So whenever we compare, whenever we buy any product, so that's why how we will compare, let's say, two products or two processes. So we have very limited information, but life cycle thinking or life cycle assessment helps us to bring in more information, the coherent information, and present us in such a way that we can take an informed decision, right? So for airplanes, now they are also showing the emissions. So how much carbon CO2 equivalent that particular flight is emitting, and out of that you can select for less emissions only flight, or accordingly the descending order or ascending order. So that's possible, right? So this is one good example of taking care of entire processes, not only just one criteria. That earlier it used to be only cost criteria, but now there's different criteria as well there. Yes, so that's it about life cycle thinking from my side. I would like to open this session for the discussion. So please, if you have any points on this, please you can share. Yes. Can we have any example or any thought process that you have? Do you agree with it? Or if you may want to share something regarding this topic, please.
So, hi Dhananjay, this is Roy. I,
Yeah.
so I mean, I'm pretty new to this whole subject. Just about year and a half, I've been trying to learn. So, but just one question. So, understand that today everybody is moving towards renewable energy, solar, and thermal, and all that. So,
Right.
when a company puts up, let's say, it's moving to a solar transition, right? So
Right.
they calculate the cost and all that. So that's fine, energy cost is low. But I've always wondered then what happens to the disposal of the solar panels, and then how do we consider that life cycle? Because all the ROIs that I've seen in the organization ends after 25 years, right? So they calculate, say, 25 panels are going to last for 25 years. This is what we're going to get back, and that's the end of story. And nobody talks about the disposal, where it go. And so is how do we think about the concept that you put up very nicely today, or the plastics, to this? Can we extend this to stuff like renewable energy, especially solar panels? Because I'm struggling with right now for the last 1 year. We're working with one of our clients,
Right.
but everybody gets stuck with 25 years. I mean, even big solar companies, the developers also, they really don't get that. And my way of looking at it is there is a cost of disposing also. That's what I believe.
Right.
But with your
Absolutely.
experience, if you can just throw some light on that.
Yeah, perfect. So actually, this is very interesting topic, and related to it, actually, there is one concern So maybe people from automobile industry, so they say that how electric vehicle is, let's say, sustainable, right? Because they want to put forth the point that in let's say electric vehicle there is issue of battery, right? And in similar way, as you are pointing out, for renewable energy, maybe for solar, for panels there is the issue, right? My thought process in it is, let's say, yeah, that's absolutely true that we have to take care of the recycling, or not only recycling. So before that, if we can means the closest loop that is possible, right? So instead of if we can have the other option, that is reuse or refurbishment, remanufacturing, or uh, can we take out that material and use it as a value, that is a circular economy, the concept that kicks in, right? But yes, I guess that is the current issue, that only 25 years is being seen for the solar panels. And for recycling, as of now, what I can say is the end of life is not being thought at the design phase itself, right? So generally in design phase, we are not taking care of that, but the end of life should be the first point to discuss or first point to design whenever we are discussing any product or process, because what will happen of that product. So that's something we should work. And definitely, I guess for solar panels also, the recycling is the issue. And I guess it is let's say uh, the major development in solar panel that happened after 2000, right? Majorly the commercialization, or the rates of energy, so that declined in the year majorly in 2000 to 2010. So as of now, we haven't completed 25 years, right? So maybe maybe in this till 2030 we will get more clarity on it. So how well we can recycle, or how big the issue is.
So, for example, Dhananjay, sorry to cut you here. So, for example, see what is happening. Some of these companies, they had the solar panel which said, let's say 380 peak power. They had kilowatt for 2 meter square of the panel. Now they have an improved version, which is 600. So developers will always try to sell that, right? So they go in for a replacement, a phased replacement every 5 years. No, so so in order to reduce the number of solar panels. So then that. So even if it's not 25 years, but every 3-4 years, some gets damaged, some gets replaced with higher powered panels. So that's where I was coming from. So so I mean, my point is that is there something that the organization per se could do? I mean, the design I can understand, but from your experience, is there something that organization can look beyond and say, yeah, this is something we can do or not to be done? So that was my point.
Yeah, and as you're rightly pointing out, so for that, to take the decision whether it is more profitable, or in our sense, let's say if we say it is more sustainable to replace this, or whether it is more sustainable to keep it as it is, right? So that is the question that we need to ask, right? And the beauty of life cycle assessment is life cycle assessment, if done properly, that can give us the answer. But the downside of it is it requires a lot of resources, a lot of assessment, a lot of data has to be taken in. We have to analyze because each of the single product is dependent on different products or different materials, and that's how it becomes a loop. So and multiple things come into picture. So it requires some resources for that.
Okay.
So that kind of study we need to check. So if any study is available regarding life cycle assessment of panels, so I'll also check it if
Please.
yeah, and
Can you
share
suggest
it.
some books or some articles that we can get to read?
One book is Cradle to Cradle. Okay, so which talks about the design of these things, and the second that I read for today's session, so I'll just share. So this is a study by UNEP. Okay. This is Life Cycle Initiative, a business guide to sustainability. It's all about life cycle management.
Excellent. Okay.
So this is 2007 publication, and I haven't got any new publication with respect to the life cycle assessment. So there is one of 2007, and second is of 2009. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
these two are there. So I can definitely share these two with you. Okay. So
Please.
life cycle management. So here they have given more on the practical and some examples with the industries. Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you. Thank you, Dhananjay. Thank you
But
so
these
much.
two are the resources that I know, and maybe others can suggest if they know any latest or any better suggestion. Please.
But thank you, Dhananjay. Really appreciate your inputs. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes. Do you have any question? Samsung SM. I would request if you can rename yourself.
Dhananjay?
Yes, Jitendra ji, please.
Jitendra Punya this side.
Yes, please.
I want one method how to calculate that part, the calculation part. If for any product they give me a task that Jitendra, this is the product. Now calculate this from end to end. What is the life cycle of this complete? So what is that method, formulas, and steps and stages? That is the part.
Okay. Okay. Just a minute. Just a minute. So, as far as I know, there is one ISO standard for life cycle assessment as well. So, it is having 3 steps. Okay. So, I'll just quickly check if I can pull that up, and so that we can discuss in detail. Yeah, I'll just share the screen. Give me just a minute. Okay. Yeah, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, visible.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, so life cycle assessment, we have already seen why it is important. And now let's go to, if anyone is expert in, let's say, ISO 14040, so they may be better person to explain this. But what I can do is quickly share some of the thoughts on this. So there are 4 stages of life cycle assessment. First is goal and scope. So we are in life cycle assessment, you can do it iteratively for a long duration of time, and you can take up so many materials. Okay. For example, let's say for mobile, it is having battery. For battery, it is having different components, different modules that have different materials. And again, for that material, particular material, so we require a lot of resources. So it can go on and on. So that's why scoping is very important. So for which goal you are pursuing this LCA, right? So limitation, the boundary should be planned. So, okay, so you are only focusing on this product, right? So first goal and scope, then second is inventory. So that is calculating all the, just a minute, I'll just mute. Yeah. So second is inventory. So you have to take all the resources that are consumed in that particular product. So it is also called as life cycle inventory, LCI. Okay. And then third is life cycle assessment. So life cycle impact assessment, also called as. So in this, we are choosing some particular impacts and we are trying to focus more on that. Okay. And then fourth is the result and analysis from that entire assessment, right? So what is the outcome with respect to the goal that we have defined at the initial phase? So as far as my knowledge is concerned, so it is the most important point here is the goal and scope where boundary gets defined, and then inventory is all about your data management or data collection and data analysis. So as per the goal, as per the boundary, you will get the results. Okay, so that is what is there, and more details would be in ISO 14040. So they are having entire processes set up. So how to do it? There are life cycle assessment LCA softwares are there. Okay, so these are, let's say, in LCA software, what is there? So you just put what are the different processes and the quantity of material that you are using, and accordingly, as per your country, as per your region, for example, let's say you are putting there that we are using 1 kilowatt of let's say electricity, okay, kilowatt hour. So that will take LCA software will have a database of different countries for 1 kilowatt hour of electricity. So how much consumption is there, whether that electricity is coming from coal or from hydropower or from let's say renewable energy. So they will have the respective emissions number, and through which we will get this impact assessment, and accordingly we will get a better understanding of that particular product. I hope this helps.
Yes, Dhananjay, it's working.
Yeah, and there are good software, that is OpenLCA is one. Then I had one used, just a minute. Venison, no, it's not for LCA. Yeah, but yeah, so I guess OpenLCA is one very popular in this. But there are multiple options now available, so you can check with that as well.
Sure, I will check.
We'll just quickly see what OpenLCA is sharing. Okay. Yeah, OpenLCA is open source and free software for sustainability and life cycle assessment with following features. The features are reliable calculation, detailed insights, analyzing results. Okay. Best in class import and export capabilities, easy to share model. Okay, it's user friendly and continuous improvement and implementation of new features. Okay. Yes. Let's see some use cases if they are available. Yeah, so as you can see on the screen, so there's one tutorial case study, PET bottles, right? So that's there. It's done in June 2020. Let's just quickly see how it is done. Okay. So first introduction, that's fine. Basic modeling. Okay. So you are mapping everything. Okay. So this project boundary, and in which what are different operations are there, what is material being used, how the flow is there. Then you are adding this into the database of LCA. Okay. All right. Then what are the different processes you are adding it? Okay. Yes. Then amount also you are putting in. So how much is there? Input for the processes of the product system, PET bottle production. So for each of the let's say products, so how much amount is required, so that you are feeding in, and based on the data that will analyze, and that will show us the results of how much emissions, or what is the entire life cycle assessment or emissions for that particular product. Okay. Yeah, this is good to go. Actually, I'll download it and I'll share with you all. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Yes. Any other point? Any other uh, interesting question that you can ask? Okay. And the beauty of mastermind group is maybe I'll not have the answer, but maybe someone in the group they can share some insight, or they might have the answer. But definitely we can probe some interesting questions and try to understand it, try to search it, and then come again next week and share our insights. So that's absolutely possible, and wonderful way to learn.
So Dhananjay, one more
please.
question that I have is again, when we work with organizations, so when they talk about energy usage within the organization, and I'm talking about manufacturing specifically. So there are two parts. One is that the electricity that they pull from the grid. The other is, in some cases, process industries, they will use furnace oil to, which is used in a heater, which will again be used as energy, right?
Right.
So what happens is, most of the time, for electricity, which is pulled from the grid, there is a solution available in terms of solar and and people are going for it. But I have not really come across people where with the usage of furnace oil and done away with it and converted into, let's say, renewable energy. There is some amount of briquettes and additives and biofuel that they are using. But any more examples you have? Because what we experience is we moved from furnace oil to, let's say, producer gas, but then it increased the amount of effort so much because you have to pull the briquettes, put it inside, and all that. So, is any example that anybody in the group, including you, and help us to understand? Is there an example that we could look at where a good example of conversion of usage of furnace oil or a similar energy into a renewable energy? Did I explain myself well? I mean, I hope.
Yeah. So I'll just rephrase your question to check if I understood it correctly. So whether there are any industries, let's say, they are using the furnace oil. So
Yes.
have they tried and tested, let's say, any renewable energy options
Yes.
directly, right? So in the first primary fuel.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm not having the understanding of this particular question. So, but the group, if you have anyone, if you have any insights on this, please you may share. Yes, Vinit.
Yeah, hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
I'm Vinit. I belong to the construction industry. And may I audible?
Yes, Vinit. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I belong to the construction industry because in terms of the greenhouse gas emissions and life cycle assessment, construction industry play a vital roles for the scenario related to environment and sustainability. So as per ISO 14001, the new aspects impact analysis sheet means having a column for life cycle assessment. So as per your presentation, I think I am doing accordingly. But I know that is there any parameters or any scale to find out the best life cycle assessment scaling system means A plus, A double plus, like B minus, like that. Is there any monitoring or globally approved system for rating of the life cycle assessment? Is there anything like that?
I don't think so. Is there any grading system in terms of you are asking about qualitative
Yes.
analysis of the LCA, right? So
Yes.
okay. So I don't think there is as such, but what we can do is if we have anyone expert in, let's say, ISO for life cycle assessment, that is ISO 14040. So maybe if you have any connections, we can invite the particular resource person and they can help us. ISO 14040. I guess we have one expert in our group, but I'm not sure whether he has joined in the morning.
Actually, my what I want to ask, like ISO 14001, one matrix is there. The matrix having different types of probability, like very low, medium, high, very high, and
Right.
they having a severity also catastrophic to the negligible. Okay. So right now, life cycle assessment is inclumped with the aspects impact analysis. So in terms of this matrix, is there anything for the life cycle assessment or not? This is my query, and I am also searching this thing last 6 and 7 months. I read lot of the literature also, but I didn't find it. Is there any matrix for the life cycle assessment? Or
So
not?
I can help you on this in one conceptual part actually. Okay. So life cycle assessment is something that an organization does to understand the impact of its products. Okay, so it is for maybe we can say that life cycle assessment is a self study, right? So if we take the example of let's say a school children going to exam, right? So let's say a 10th student. So LCA we can compare it with the self study. So that student is learning for his or her own understanding, and accordingly they can work. On the other hand, environmental impact assessment, EI, is also there, right? So environmental impact assessment is something that assessors will check whether this company is working fine or whether that the pollution level is in norms or not, right? The compliance aspect kicks in.
Sorry for interrupt you. My environmental impact assessment is the legality. Okay.
Right.
My query is the aspects impact analysis as per the ISO 14. Means more of the company having a certification for ISO 14,001 2015. Okay. And according to the aspects impact analysis sheet, they are divided our impact and aspects in the severity and negligible level. Accordingly, the company will prepare the SOP and implement the thing through the management. So, but right now from 2015 onwards, the aspects impact analysis having one column life cycle assessment. Okay. And we don't have any tools. Right now the system is only copy and paste, but right now we don't have a tool the incorporation after the life cycle assessment, how can this matrix was changed and how the SOPs should be changed, or is there any like that? My query is related to this thing.
No, that's it. I guess for let's say life cycle assessment, as of now, it is driven by, let's say, if you say what is the authorization or what is the body that is defining it. So I guess that is ISO for it through ISO 14,000, right?
Okay, but I think I have no idea. That's why I asking the question.
So as per my understanding, so ISO, the life cycle assessment is something you can compare it as a self study. Okay, so you are understanding it, and though it is coming under the ISO 14,040, it's not something like it's in let's say compare with environmental impact assessment. That is a legal, right? So that is like an exam. If you pass it, then only you can work or you can go ahead, right? So that's the major conceptual difference, and that's why I guess in life cycle assessment we haven't any qualitative demarcation as such.
Okay.
So maybe I'll also search. This is actually interesting question that you have raised. So I'll also check and more details, and maybe I'll also ask some of our experts who are in ISO 14,040. So maybe they can share their insights.
Because why this question is coming, because at the time of my surveillance audit, one auditor coming from the DNV, okay, first he checked the mandatory document as per the ISO requirement,
right?
And we have showed our aspects impact analysis, okay. And first thing he raised the minor NC related to the aspects impact analysis sheet is not updated as per the ISO 14,001 2015 because the life cycle assessment is not considerable. This is the first minor NC, means major NC. Second major NC is that after the incorporation of the life cycle assessment, the matrix will be changed. Because before that, the life cycle assessment is not incorporated in the aspects impact analysis for the ISO 14,001 2015 certification. Then what is your SOP and criteria and matrix modification under the life cycle assessment included with the aspects impact analysis? That's time, means this is our audit. Then we close the things because of the company need the certification. But still, I am not confident I was closed the NCR on in a right way. That's
it was
why
not closed in a right way. The reason being that was done for the certification only, right? So
yeah,
that was not done to understand the real impacts and where we can improve. So I guess that was the issue.
Because many of the companies, they are registered in the Nifty or they are processed for the ESG or everything. All companies are certified from ISO 14,001 2015. Okay. And many of them are already prepared the aspects impact analysis sheet and the their hazard identification and risk assessment sheet, and also incorporate life cycle assessment also. But how these metrics are changed, because everything related to the value, when the value is above than 35 in aspects impact analysis calculation, then it's go to the legal and it take the immediate action to stop the work. So accordingly, how life cycle assessment is impact this new ISO 14001 2015, then what are the SOPs and metrics are modified. I means last few days or month, I am not able to understand and also not got any relevant means documents or paper to justify myself also.
Okay, got it, got it. So that's burning question, I must say. Yeah.
Not burning. Actually, this is all the companies having the ISO certification. And
Right,
when we discuss about the life cycle assessment and it is the part of aspect impact analysis, then how can the things will be go for the upcoming scenarios of the SAVI as well as the ESG or
Right.
ESG rating like that.
Right. Yeah, definitely. We will search for more answers and maybe more insights on this. Yes.
Dhananjay, yeah, good morning. It's very
Yeah.
good morning. Yeah,
Good morning. Yeah.
connecting you again.
Yeah. What time is it in Bahrain?
We are 2.5 hours from India as compared.
Okay. So
So
it's around 7 a.m., right?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. It's a nice session. You know, it's the first time I am joined recently in this group. You know, it's a nice one. Good. Yeah. Good questions. Good team. Just coming back to this, you know, ISO 14000 and Gupta was saying. So, what we can refer, there are some normative reference standards out there, and there are guidance, you know, for, you know, especially coming back to the 14001 requirements. So, you can refer to those, you know, guidance for all those environmental management system. Also, you can go through the compliance obligations of, you know, national regulatory bodies. And if it is not stated in national regulatory bodies, then you have to go for global. So you need to, the answer will be there only, surely. It's only evaluation criteria that you are checking whether you have done right or wrong, right? So it's almost same criteria. See, criteria, there will be many criteria that can be established either by the organization or you can have some reference standards. So probably you might get, you know, you are very close to that. You know, what you have done is aspect impact assessments and, you know, updating your matrix. So you are very close. So you will get, certainly, I will also try to find out if there is anything is available, evaluation criteria, whether you are doing right or wrong. Probably I can help you out, but I don't know about Indian national, you know, regulations. So probably you can look into that level also. It's just my,
Sure.
you know, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you are suggesting the normative, maybe some guidance documents like this, right? So if I'm correct.
No, a standard, even ISO guidance documents will be there. 14,000.
Okay. All right.
You need to Google it probably. You will have it.
Okay, sure. So we'll check. I hope that answers your question, right? Yeah, Vinay. So we will also check and we will share. Okay. And if you get, please do share in WhatsApp group. Okay, so that everyone gets it. Yeah. So again, we have that one question remaining. So it's regarding, do anyone have any real life example of changing the fuel or changing the primary, let's say, oil to any renewable energy? If you have seen such kind of behavior in any organization and whether that is cost effective.
Again, coming back to this question, see, basically, again, it's a reuse, right? Oil is never be, you know, again, it's a part of a study. Okay, aspect impact studies and you know, all those things. It's again, you know, the oil is never been thrown actually. You know, a lot of products has been, you know, there are many companies are there globally. So like how we use this Coca-Cola, all these tins, basically. Similarly, the oil also can be used for some other byproducts. But again, we need to get these information. See, basically responsible care. If you go for responsible care, 14,000, RC 14,001, which is a different standard again, and it is a tough standard. It's more or less similar to 14,001. So probably you might get a lot of inputs from there in terms of corporation, CSR activities, all those further in depth of impact study.
Right. And actually, ma'am, the question was not about end of life, what
Yeah,
happens
so
to the oil.
correct.
So the
Because
question, yeah, you can ask the question.
this is basically, and I understand. So we, basically what happens, the furnace oil that is used gets consumed. It's like petrol, it converts into flue gases. Now, and the other oil that I understand is that furnace oil goes into a heater. The heater heats another oil called the therminol, which goes and heats some elements of the product. So that is reused, But this material that gets consumed and converts into gases or whatever, so it gets consumed. So how do we capture that? Maybe we have tried to use low sulfur, high stock. We reduce that emission. All that has been done, but we still use that. So my question was definitely on the front part of that fuel. So it's like saying moving from petrol to battery. Okay, so that's a classic, implementation where we converted a fuel which gets consumed to give power to something that is rechargeable. So my question was from that perspective. But the other, I agree that the reuse of the oil, or that we do. But my question really was on the front loading, where the furnace oil gets consumed to give you power or energy.
We'll see that, we'll brainstorm for probably next time we are connecting, right? Again for this. I don't know the schedule.
Sure.
Yes,
So
next Saturday we will connect.
Yeah. So then we will talk about it, if anyone wants to, throw some light on this, probably we can discuss that.
Okay, perfect. So I'll request everyone, if you can just quickly share your questions on the group, or maybe you can message me, and we will check with some expert also, and I'll circulate the questions to all. Okay, so that we will come prepared, and maybe your questions will get the answer, right? And with some practical examples and some case stories. Is it fine?
Okay, that will be fine. Thank you.
Perfect. Yes. So last call, if anybody would like to share anything. Okay, all right, perfect then. So thank you so much everyone for your patient listening and active participation. So
Thank you,
let's continue.
Dhananjay.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, Dhananjay.